Hello, everyone, and welcome to Something Awesome. We are a podcast that talks about not necessarily just nostalgic stuff, but current events in entertainment, media, and everything from music, video games, whatever we feel like talking about, honestly, on this podcast. So if there's something you ever wanted to hear our opinion about, you can go back and check out the old episodes. Doesn't come out in any particular order. You can jump around. What is it? House of Pain?
Yeah. Yep, that's House of Pain.
Yeah. So you don't need to stay in one spot here. But anyways, this is Mike. Yeah. Mike is always here, just like I am. And today, we got quite a show for you. Especially if you did see our last show after I just said you can jump around.
I like to say that this podcast likes to hang out on the corner of new and nostalgia. And today...
I like that. We're using that from now on.
And today, we're hanging out on the new side.
Yes.
Yeah. This is the most current thing we've talked about.
Oh, yeah. And current because this is coming out next.
Yeah. So there's going to be some episodes out of order. And Rick always likes to joke with me because I always am kind of anal about continuity and stuff like that, especially on our last podcast. I was like, well, I can't wear this shirt. I wore this shirt last week. I need to change something, and so...
we just break the illusion just by saying that.
Yeah. So get it all out of the way that we don't have to fucking worry about it anymore. So again, we've said it before. We usually tape these in batches and then gives Rick extra time to edit them. And then we put them out every other week. This one is actually going to go in between two that we've already recorded, which is why in the next episode, my beard is going to be like this again and not like this again.
Right.
But yeah, we're nearing the end of our second season.
Yeah.
And this is the 9th episode of that season.
Correct. 9th, because then the next one's the 10th. And then we're going to take a break for a month.
Yes.
Maybe a month and a half.
Yeah.
Just because it is summer coming up. So,
but there'll be 18 episodes or 19 episodes that you can go back to. Yeah. If you haven't, if you're new here, we appreciate you coming and checking us out. And there's a backlog of episodes. It's not a lot, but we tend to be quite verbose about things. Yeah. So,
and if you've already heard all that and you want more, there's also a very old podcast we used to do called Some Shit We Like, SSWL.
Which I'm still pretty proud of a lot of those episodes, man. I'm pretty proud of that one.
Yeah, that goes back. That goes far back. I've been thinking about uploading the audio to it.
Okay.
Just to have it archived on YouTube. Because I have all the audios on hard drive, on my external hard drive. And
like from episode 1?
Since 1. I have everything. I have everything, even the videos I have backed up. It's a big hard drive.
Wow. Okay. Because it was that first year was all audio.
First 2 years
first year and a half, maybe?
No, it was more than that. First 2 years, I'm pretty sure it was audio.
Yeah. All right.
And we didn't venture to video till 13, I think.
Maybe 12? Really? Was it that long?
12, maybe.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, man.
But if you want to see it, let us know. I'll start posting it.
That first video episode or 1 year episode, that's a fucking gem.
That's up there, yeah. You gotta look for it because I ain't gonna post it.
Yeah, I'll post it. Anyway, so in this episode, I was gonna say this week, but we're not weekly. So in this episode, we're hanging out on the new side of that corner and not necessarily on the nostalgia side. A little bit of both, but we're gonna talk about something that just recently came out. And it goes hand in hand with our last episode. We talked about Back to the Future.
Back to the Future, yeah.
Which ended up going, I wanted to bring this up. It ended up going a different way than I thought it was going to go when we sat down to record. Because you asked me right before we started, you're like, how do you want to tackle it? Just like chronological? And I was like, yeah, I mean, let's just talk about it. And, originally, I think we both had these grand aspirations of going really in depth about the filmmaking and the scenes and our favorite parts. And there's a couple of points where you and I both try to corral each other and get back to that. But it ends up just being an hour-long conversation about why we love those movies and how much they mean to us. And you're never going to come to us for an actual review on things. We don't make movies. We don't know what that entails. We have some ideas, but we're not professional movie people, is what I'm saying.
We're just two guys having fun, talking about movies we love and sharing it to all of you.
And I think that's our sweet spot. I think that, and I don't know if it's the content of the episode or the way we tackled it, but seems to be doing all right now, and that makes me very happy, because that is probably, and we always say this, like, we're not out over here putting on like characters or personas, like this is us, but like that conversation is like the most us. Like, we've had conversations like that on road trips to San Diego, or on car rides into wherever to go see a band that we like.
Playing Burnout.
Yeah, playing Burnout or playing Uncharted multiplayer, like, and that was kind of the birthplace of this podcast, was playing Uncharted multiplayer and Burnout together, and you, me, and Bryce all saying we should just fucking record these. We should record these and put them up just so we have them. And yeah, I think that episode, that Back to the Future episode, is like the most us you're gonna get right now.
Yeah, and it looks we got a nice comment on there too.
Yeah,
from Tony.
Yeah, Tony Douglas. Shout outs to Tony Douglas.
That was funny. So yeah, leave your comments. I'll point you out how wrong Tony is. Back to the Future 3 is wonderful.
Yeah. It still sucks.
With new eyes.
Yeah.
Apple TV finally put out the documentary called Still, which is the life of Michael J. Fox. And it goes through from, it's a sit-down interview that talks about his life from as a young kid living in Canada to present, and him dealing with Parkinson's and his everyday life, living with his children and his wife, and everything in between. I
wasn't sure what to expect out of it. Like, I figured it was going to be more about how he's dealing with Parkinson's than, but there is a lot of stuff in there that is like before Hollywood, and it's kind of a quick, like, growing up and blah blah blah. It's kind of a quick narration of,
it's basically an autobiography.
Yeah.
Book
and he has a book. It seems
does,
like okay. So because in that movie, in the documentary, they show him recording the audiobook also, which is a really cool but also rough, because you can see like he's trying
has to focus, like really hard, to get to what he wants to say and his words out, because like his mind's moving so quickly. But getting ahead of ourselves there. But he does, he in the beginning of this film, like, it talks about him growing up in Canada, and how he was always the energetic kid running around, playing in the grass and the fields, and just being what a hyperactive kid does. And how it translated to him. Like, I think they talk about him like almost playing sports, but then it was drama, that really,
and him dealing with being a small guy because he has a sister that's 3 years younger than him, and when he was 6 and she was 3, people thought they were twins, and he said that was the first time he realized that, oh, I'm small. And that's kind of rough to have to deal with at 6 years old, man. Like, shit, dude. 6 years old, you should be fucking throwing sand at people and swinging on the monkey bars, not worrying about being small, But yeah, it was really insightful to see that stuff, and it makes me want to read the book, or maybe even listen to the audiobook. Before we get too deep, I want to say, like, whoever directed and edited this thing, this is the best. This is the most cinematography I've seen.
Davis Guggenheim, director, and then writer shows Michael J. Fox because it's based on his book.
This is a documentary, but they use
so much
actual footage and clips, and the way it's cut together, it feels like a biopic more than a documentary when he's doing the voiceovers. But then in the sit down stuff, when it gets real and they're doing the sit down stuff, it's like, wow, this is. So the director and whoever edited this thing, like, dude, this is
seamless.
Probably my favorite documentary I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And the only thing that made me even think maybe it's not is I still think Murderball is one of the best stories ever told in a documentary. It's about the quadriplegic rugby team. Have you seen that one?
No.
That's a good one, man. But yeah, it feels like a movie in a lot of places. And I think that's what makes it move so quickly.
I think that's also the benefit too of the benefit and the popularity of Michael J. Fox, because they use so much footage from all of his movies and recreated reenactments or whatever you want to call it of what he's saying in the documentary, and they just like edited it, spliced together just like these recreations with television shows and with movies. When like the part, I think one of my favorite parts is where he talks about he gets called into the office for Family Ties.
Yeah,
and he's like come into the office, like I need you to sit down. And as he's saying that, like you're getting a clip from I think it's Doc Hollywood.
I think so, yeah.
Where he walks in, so you're getting clips of the movies as he's narrating this, so it actually feels like this is the actual meeting you're watching.
Then to color correct and color grade the new stuff to look exactly like the old stuff, to where it feels so seamless. Like even at the very beginning when he talks about waking up in 1990 and his pinky moving, like it's a reenactment of somebody laying on a bed. But then when he says, "and I woke up," it's a close up of his face, I think from Teen Wolf, maybe.
Probably.
But yeah, like it's so well done. Like if you are a fan of film and filmmaking, watch this thing. If you love documentaries, watch this thing. If you love Michael J. Fox, watch. Like even if you don't like one of those three things, one of the other things
entertaining from start
so
to end.
good. It's so good, man.
Yeah, you get a full insight of him and how he really is. How we were talking about earlier, like this is just how we are. This is just our personality, how we talk.
Yeah,
like you see that genuinely through Michael J. Fox.
Yeah,
like the way he's talking in the interview is like you see him, because we also see footage of him going through physical therapy, him trying to walk around, and him conversating with his family and his kids, and like
his kids making fun of him, which is great. Like
like that's just him. Like what you see is what you get with Michael J. Fox. I just want to say Michael, but
it would be very easy with the position that he's in for him, his wife, and his kids to be very angry and very cynical. And I understand they're showing you what they want you to see in this documentary, but like there's a scene with him and his son where they're sitting on a beach talking later in the thing, and it's like it's a real moment, but at the same time they're laughing together, and it's like it would be very easy for this to have been something that ripped a family apart. But instead it seems like they've all rallied around him, and he even says like at one point that his wife Tracy, like she takes it on more than I do. I like to pretend it's not even there, and she deals with it more than I do.
Exactly what you said. Like he's just trying to make everyone feel comfortable, and like he knows like this is it, like this is what I have, this is what I just gotta deal with it, like this is it. And you mentioned earlier too, like we only see what they show us, but at the same time, like they did kind of show some moments, with his physical therapy, like those are very, very vulnerable moments. But when you mentioned that, it reminded me of an episode of Scrubs that he was in, where he plays and this was after like it was announced that he had Parkinson's, he was leaving Spin City, and he started doing small little like on roll cameo stuff, which they didn't mention Scrubs, which I think was a really good episode with him, because he plays a doctor who has OCD.
Okay.
And every doctor on Scrubs hate him because how great he is at what he does, because he has OCD.
Right.
And everyone wants to find him because they're mad at him for outdoing everything that they do in their job. And then you find him at his most vulnerable moment, and Michael J. Fox just plays it perfectly. He's
such a good actor, man.
Just so well. Just so good. If you haven't seen that Scrubs episode too, I highly recommend you watch it, because it's really good. I love the show in general, but that's one of my favorite. Him and Brendan Fraser have great roles in Scrubs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Brendan Fraser one will fucking knock you on your ass.
Yeah.
It's so good. He's a fantastic actor. But yeah, Michael J. Fox does an incredible breakdown scene here, which you could only imagine is what he probably goes through when he has those vulnerable moments. And watching him going through physical therapy was
right. Before we get too far in, I want to talk about like how right off the top, right at the very beginning, in the first like 3 minutes, you see the kind of human being he is, because it's
you see him as him.
It's him getting out of bed. and then he's walking, and his physical therapist, who I don't know if that dude is 24/7 or what, but that dude is that he's fucking awesome. Like, he comes off as like the best fucking guy.
I like that guy a lot.
I do too. So, and he's walking through the house, and walking the way he walks, and the guys tell him, slow down, reset, take a breath. And they go outside, and they're walking down the sidewalk, and a woman sees him, and she goes, "Oh, Mr. Fox." And he turns around to talk to her, and he falls. And she realizes that he falls, and she turns around and comes over, and his therapist is helping him up. And, "Are you okay?" Yeah, I'm fine. I'm learning how to walk. Like, he's like, constantly.
He said, you knocked me off my
right. And she goes, "Well, it was a pleasure to meet you." And he goes, "You too. You knocked me off my feet." And then she's like walking away, giggling, but almost like in disbelief. Like, how is this man making a joke about what just happened? But that's how he copes, and he talks about that later in the documentary, how that getting those
that's
laughs,
his perseverance, his drive is getting a laugh out of someone.
Yeah.
And that's what I always admired about him, is how if he could get a laugh out, and he said that in the documentary too. In the sit down, like, if I could get a laugh out of someone, like, that just makes me happy.
It makes him forget about what's going on. It's again, and like he talks about it with the pills that he takes. It's when you get a laugh from somebody, or when you engage with someone on your level the way you want to, it does give you that dopamine rush. And the thing that, and I love the information about Parkinson's. It's like, the reason why it's so degenerative is because it's a part of your brain that stops the production of dopamine. So your body is constantly feeling down. And it's like, just all the information in this thing. I'm surprised they didn't talk about the foundation more.
That's another thing I was kind of like, I kind of wish they talked a little bit more about that too.
But I also understand, like, I get what he's trying to do with this documentary. He's not trying to get money from people with this documentary. He's trying to show
who he is.
Exactly.
But yeah, like, that was one thing too. I was like, I kind of wish they showed a little bit more, like, about, like, how he started it, like the bringing it all together. And it looks like his wife and him are just like this fantastic team that just knows how to get shit done.
There's a scene where him and his wife are sitting on the couch, and he's having a moment where with his hands are tremors, and she's looking at his phone, and she's like, "You have like 50 text messages you haven't responded." He's like, "I can't." And he's laughing because he's looking at the messages. He's like, "I tried." And like, he tells her what to say, and then she's like, "Why would you say that?" And he goes, "I don't know, just whatever. I'll see you soon." Like, and then they talk to the daughter later, and they're talking about how she sent him all these really heartfelt messages, and he didn't respond. And then when he did, his response was, "I hope you're happy with all the choices you've made." And they're like, "Why would you say that?" And he's like, I try, but I can't. And that's all that ends up coming out. That's all I can get done before I lose it. And it's like, man, and they're laughing, and it's just like, like, again, that would be one of those moments where it'd be really easy to be angry and cynical and upset, but they're all just kind of like taking it in stride, man.
It's like, he'd rather have people laugh with him than really feel. I think that's what he said, something like, he'd rather have people talk with him and laugh with him rather than feel sorry for him. I think it's kind of in the words, like, I'm definitely misquoting.
That's, he definitely
something
said
along the lines
to that
of
effect.
That.
He's like, I don't want people to feel sorry for me. Like, that's not
what the documentary is about, or something like that. Like, it's just showing you my everyday life, how I deal with things, and you see that, you see all that, his daily routine, and then you see even through the documentary, like, how bad it can be, where he'll trip and fall, and like, he came in with like a broken wrist, I think.
And he has pins in his hand. He's got pins in his face because he broke his orbital bone, and his shoulders fucked up, and like, man, and
he's like, that's Parkinson's. He says, like, that's not like that's just comes with Parkinson's. Like, that's just something you deal with. This
documentary makes you feel every range of emotions. Like, and it's cliche because most documentaries will do this. You'll laugh, you'll cry. There are points where I was fucking angry, because of the way he was just like, like, whatever, washing it away. Like, nah, dude, like, fuck, man. And then there was one point where I thought of you immediately at the beginning because you talked about on the Back to the Future episode when you saw Doc Hollywood and he was smoking and it made you upset.
Oh, yeah.
At the beginning of the documentary, he even says, like, was this one of those all-nighters I did with Woody Harrelson where we were drinking and smoking everything known to man? I was like, oh no, Rick's gonna turn his room into a panic room.
No, my hero does drugs.
Oh, yeah. So, but yeah, I immediately thought of you with that. But yeah, man, you will go every range of emotion. Like, there's twice in this documentary, and they're pretty close to each other, where I fucking teared up because it was just so hard to watch. Not because I felt sorry for him, but because it made me sad that he has to fucking deal with it.
I think what makes us angry is that there is a way to fix this, but the government won't fucking do shit about it.
Yeah.
Which I know that's getting more political,
right?
But like they showed it. I think didn't they show some footage of him at Congress?
Yeah,
talking about it too.
Like, we need more funding, and it was him and Muhammad Ali trying to get more funding for Parkinson's.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll talk about it now just so we can get past it. The part that really fucked me all up was when he's doing physical therapy with therapist. This is towards the end of the documentary, and he's lying down and he's like, I'm in so much pain. And he goes, "Do you want to sit up?" He goes, "I want to do anything other than what I'm doing right now." And right there I was like, oh, fuck. And then he's sitting in the chair and he's leaning over the bed in the room, and he says, like, I know what I need to do to get better, and I need to do it. And I always hear people tell me that I make them do things out of their comfort zone and make them do things they never thought they could do. And I need to do that for myself, but I also don't want to fuck it up. And right there, I was like, oh man. And then his fucking therapist is like, you just don't have to be Michael J. Fox all the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, you mother, and I was like,
I know the exact moment. Man. Yeah, that was
yeah,
tough,
and he talks about how he feels like he has all this weight on his shoulders and he just doesn't want to fuck it up. And it's like, dude, you're not. Be you. You don't have to be that guy.
Like where you just want to go through the screen and tell him it's okay.
Yeah.
Just be who you want to be. Do what you can.
And in as open as he is in this documentary, you can see that he's still closed off about things. And it was right around that time where when they're doing a sit down and the guy behind the director asks, like, how come you never tell me about your pain? And he's like, it never came up. And he's like, that's the director's like, that's what this is. We like that you have. And he's like, it never came up. And it's that at that point, because that moment had already happened with the physical therapist where he's very open about it. And then he's like, it never came up. I was like, you son of a bitch. Like, yes, this is like, I agree with the director. That's what this is about. This is what you wanted to do. You want people to see, don't just put out, I'm going through therapy and I fall and I hurt myself sometimes, but it's okay. Like, and for a while in the documentary, that's kind of what it seems like. And then when they really get down, like in that last 30 minutes or so, and they really start talking about, like, him not being able to answer text messages and the pain he's in constantly. And he says he's in pain all day, but he has to live with it. He has to deal with it. And then the scene in the therapist's office, and that's when they talk about when he finally decided to make a statement about having it in the middle of shooting Spin City because he just couldn't. He couldn't get off the floor of his dressing room. He couldn't get off the floor, and
they talked about like how he was hiding it too from everyone, and like he wasn't ready to come out because he was afraid that people wouldn't accept him for it, and that people would look at him differently and not want to hire him anymore. And things like that, which when he did finally sit down with Diane Sawyer, it was a Diane Sawyer interview. People were just like amazed at his perseverance and like how he's trying to combat it and trying to be open and he got he did end Spin City, and he did started doing I think it was Boston Public. I think it's where he had a small run in, and then he just started doing little things here that he knew he could do rather than a whole series like Spin City.
He also did a voice in
the Back to the Future
in
game.
the Telltale Back to the Future game, because they got a kid who did a dead-on Marty McFly for that entire game.
I actually looked it up. The scene with him.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
and it's towards the end of the run because it's a 5 episodic game, and I think it's in the 4th episode where he plays a McFly, but back in time in the past. Yeah, it was a cool little scene. And if you watch the behind the scenes that Telltale put out about it, and he even talks about like seeing that guy play Marty McFly. He was like, he does me better than me. I think I'm gonna have him be me everywhere.
Imagine. I think we kind of just glossed over a bit that I kind of want to talk a little bit more about was
bring it up.
Well, he did kind of bring it up a little bit where he goes into the office for Family Ties, and he sits down with the producer and say like, look, and this was from the documentary. It's like, look, Steven called, and then he's like, right away when he said Steven, I knew exactly what this was going to be about. And then you start hearing little chimes of the Back to the Future thing.
God, that will never not make the hairs on the back of my neck stand up.
Yeah, that whole sequence of him and like this footage from a movie and his voiceover and the way it flows, like that scene. Like I said, I think that's Doc Hollywood where he's kind of like indecisive and kind of like not sure. Like just played so well into what was being said in the voiceover for him to like, all right, like this is something I got to do. Like he's mentioned, they shot with Eric Stoltz.
And they show the clip of Eric Stoltz.
They show the clip with Eric Stoltz.
From 1955. Like, they shot a lot of that movie with Eric Stoltz. We talked about that. At least we got that out in the last episode.
Yeah. They shot a lot with him.
A third of the movie.
Yeah, and they said like that they want him. Like they saw Alex P. Keaton, Michael J. Fox, like he's the guy, like we have to have him. We'll do whatever we can. And then they did. They ended up getting him. And then they talks about how like he would wake up in the morning, Teamster would come, pick him up, take him to the Family Ties set.
And they would always cut it with him walking through the door.
Yes.
And then a scene from the thing, and then it'd be like, I gotta go, and he'd walk out, and then he would the stand-in would get in the car, they'd drive to the set, and then like they went a whole, like they did a setup, and obviously it's a lot smaller than it looks, but where a guy is putting on the white and black shirt and the suspenders and the vest and jacket, gets the camera, and as he gets the camera and walks forward, it cuts, but it doesn't look like a cut. It looks seamless.
Yeah.
And he's like, you built a time machine? And it's like, whoa. Like I said, whoever cut this is a fucking master at their craft, man.
Yeah. That whole sequence was just like my favorite of the entire documentary.
Yeah. And he said it was 3 months.
3 months of that.
And that was just for the first Back to the Future. It was 3 months of back and forth. And back and forth. And it's funny because the producers and directors didn't want him on Family Ties.
Yeah, they talked about it. Originally they did not want him, but then everyone loved him. The audience loved him. The studio audience loved him.
Yeah.
And
it became a show about him and not about the parents, which was initially, if you watch that first season, and then it switches very quickly about halfway through that season.
Which I've been watching recently still.
Yeah, you were saying that last time.
And you can see the change of that. Like they usually play, I think, like the first 2 seasons of it. Mm-hmm. And you can see that change, that shift between when it's all about
the parents,
and when it's all about Alex.
Yeah.
And then how we mentioned how he gave Alex the P.
Yeah, how he improv that.
Yeah. And they show him answering the phone, Alex P. Keaton.
Yeah. Really cool, man. Like I said, really cool the way they did that. And like he talks before they show that scene or before they cut that scene together of him getting the part in Back to the Future. He talks about how he was shooting Teen Wolf.
Yeah.
And down the street, they were shooting this big Steven Spielberg movie, and
That's
he was
what it
like,
was too,
why
yeah.
am I not in that? Why am I? But Teen Wolf ended up doing great because it came out after Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Like, how smart of the studio to hold on to that. Like, I'm sure they didn't do it on purpose. I'm sure there was some extenuating circumstances, but once
Right.
Back to the Future came out and it hit, I bet they were like, yes. Because Teen Wolf is one of my favorite movies from that era too. Like, yeah, I love that movie. Teen Wolf 2,
It's been a while
not
since
so
I've seen
much.
it.
Not so much
Yeah.
on Teen Wolf 2.
It's been a while since I've seen Teen Wolf.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, I bet it doesn't hold up, but I loved it as a kid. I watched it a whole bunch as a kid. We talked about on Back to the Future episode where I said I had that on tape or I recorded it and I ran through that tape until it snapped. I did the same thing with Teen Wolf.
Mm-hmm. And Frighteners is one of my favorite too. Frighteners.
Oh, yeah,
Have
yeah.
you seen Frighteners?
Yeah.
Frighteners was one where like it was, I think it was like a few years. Definitely a few years for Spin City. I'm trying to figure out where it landed, and I think it was 90s.
I think that was right before Spin City.
Was it?
I think so.
Yeah, because Spin City did come out in the 90s.
Yeah, 96, 97,
I think that's what they said. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
So I think Frighteners might have been 94, 95.
probably. I don't know.
You can look it up. Oh, we're fact checking on this podcast apparently now. But yeah, all that stuff, man. And like, there's that whole scene where they're talking about how after Back to the Future,
96.
It was 96.
Yeah.
After Back to the Future, when his movies would get reviewed, it was like, oh well, it's just another one of those, and blah, blah, like it would go down and down and down and down. And he said that led to, more drinking, and that led to more anxiety and depression, and his Parkinson's getting worse. And then it's so crazy the way they cut together stuff with the reenactments, like throwing shit through the TV. I doubt he ever did that, but yeah, man, just really cool watching it. It's like watching someone have like this meteoric rise, and in my mind stayed there, but in a lot of other people's minds, whether it be critics or producers or directors, it was like here and then here. Yeah. And like it was up to the top and then back to the bottom of the mountain. And like as a kid watching Secret of My Success and Doc Hollywood and all these other movies that came out after Back to the Future, it was one of those things where it became like, oh, I'll watch that because it's Michael J. Fox. And ooh, I like this because it's Michael J. Fox. And I didn't ever realize that it went this way.
Yeah, because for us being fans, like it never went down for us.
Right.
Everything he did was just steady all the way through.
Yeah.
And yeah, I never, like, to me, it never felt like he ever dropped or fell in his career. Although, I mean, in reality for him, yes.
Right.
Like, because of what he went through. But for people like us who looked up to him, like we loved every single thing he ever did. Mm-hmm. And then getting that opportunity for, after all going through all that, getting that opportunity with Spin City and having a hit TV show, like brought him right back up again.
Yeah. Yeah, those 2 seasons, I think. Is it 2 seasons he's on before it?
I think it's more than 2.
Yeah. But then it's Charlie Sheen, right?
And Charlie Sheen comes in to take over. Yeah, because it was he did.
I only say
96
now.
2001. So
okay, 4 seasons.
Yeah, about 4 seasons.
I only say now about Charlie Sheen. At the time, Charlie Sheen was untouchable. I get it. I know. I just say because of what he's turned into.
I think it was because it was created by what's his face, the same person who created
2.5 Men.
Yes.
Yeah. Chuck Lorre.
Yeah, it looks like Chuck Lorre.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it was Chuck Lorre.
I think so.
I'm going through it. Why not? Oh shit! It was actually, well, I don't know. I think it was just a writer. Bill Lawrence was. Oh, it was Bill Lawrence, created by Bill Lawrence, Gary David Goldberg.
Okay.
So Bill Lawrence did Scrubs.
Oh shit! Okay.
Which makes sense now. So Scrubs and Cougar Town, which has the silliest name, but it's a great show. It's a great show.
I've never watched it.
And then Ted Lasso, which is currently also on Apple Plus.
Okay.
which is a fantastic.
I need to watch Ted Lasso.
It's so good. Like I don't care about soccer at all or football.
Or either one. You don't care about either one.
I don't care about either one, but like it's characters, Bill. That's something that Bill Lawrence does, characters.
Yeah. But yeah, man, watching this documentary, like it gave you a whole new appreciation for Michael J. Fox and his family as human beings.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's something that a good documentary will do. Will take something and show you the human side and the human element. And it really did show you how him and his family connect as human beings. And it kind of takes the celebrity out of it, which I think is
definitely
fucking fantastic.
You know, I was actually like, I thought maybe this could be a thing, or maybe not. I'll just say it right now. But I was thinking there's like certain celebrities that I've always wanted to meet.
Yeah,
you know,
he's one of them for
Michael
sure.
J. Fox. Unfortunately, I won't be able to meet Stan Lee or Robin Williams. But yeah, Michael J. Fox would be, that's a dream to meet.
Yeah,
like Robin Williams and Stan Lee too. Like I had plenty of chances to meet Stan Lee. But the thing, I don't know, the thing with me about meeting people, like I don't want, like it's not me being cheap. Don't get me wrong. Like I don't want to have to pay to meet someone. I want something like organic to happen. You know, I don't want to
like that woman walking down the street with him at the beginning of the documentary.
Exactly. Yeah, you know, how did I meet Ben Affleck? I saw him at the Writers Guild Association. You know, and then I was in his movie. You know.
Best friend, good old Ben. Benjamin Affleck. That's how Rick Cobb refers to him. But yeah.
Giles, I met him.
The way we met Jason Mewes.
Yeah, how we met Jason Mewes.
That was
just
so
outside,
cool.
Yeah,
and that one was odd just because he was just newly clean, and you could see all the nervous energy he had because he was trying
the Red Bulls he was downing.
Yeah, the caffeine. I think Michael J. Fox is on that short list too, and Kevin Smith is on that list for me because I've never met Kevin Smith. I've had interactions with him, but I've never met Kevin Smith.
Dude, you were on stage with him.
It's not the same. That's not the same. Like after that, when we talked to Jay, I consider that like I met Jay. I met Jason Mewes. But yeah, like I didn't. Also, don't bring that clip up, please.
Oh no.
It's that's Kevin Smith's on that list of people I would like to meet and like have a conversation with, like. But I don't have a very long list of like celebrities or people I would like to meet. No. I think it's like those two, and Robin Williams would have been one.
Robin Williams, Michael J. Fox have been like the ones that I've always wanted to meet.
Yeah, Robin Williams is one of my favorite actors, dude. Like, and watching movies of his, like knowing him as fucking Mork from Mork, because my mom used to watch that show when I was a kid on like the syndication stuff on Nickelodeon or whatever. She loved that show. And so I used to watch Mork and Mindy all the time. I was like, this dude's hilarious. As a kid, like that show is hilarious. Then you see something like Dead Poet Society where it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oof. That's a rough one, but it's a really good one. And then Good Morning Vietnam, which is kind of a mixture of his comedy and his and that's the same thing I love about Michael J. Fox is like he can go from like even in those early clips of whatever movie or show that was at the very beginning, where when he first gets to Hollywood, and even in those clips you see his diversity, even for being so young and so fresh on the scene, so to speak. Like, and the way they cut that in with like, I was running out of money, I was on my last dime, like, and they cut in these clips from this show that are like the same thing. Like, that dude, he's just so immensely talented. And I said this last week or last episode when we talked about watching this documentary eventually, that I'm so glad that he's at a point in his life where he feels comfortable with getting out there again and showing people like, I got Parkinson's real bad, but being here is more important to me than suffering alone. And I think that's fantastic. And I don't necessarily need to see him on more TV shows or in movies or doing voice acting or whatever, but it's just nice to see that He showed up at, was it the Screen Actors Guild Awards earlier this year, and they gave him some kind of lifetime. I think it was a Lifetime Achievement Award. It was one of the award shows earlier this year, and to see him walk up there and accept the award and talk and be able to get through that and walk off the stage and be able to get through it, it was just like is very inspiring to see that earlier this year. And then to see him in this documentary be so open about trials and tribulations and living with it, it's also very fucking inspiring. Like, it makes you want to get up and fucking 3-point stance and tackle into a fucking mountain. Like, you want to get up and do something.
Yeah, this documentary is amazing. Yeah, everyone has to watch this.
Yeah, it's so good, man. And like I said, if you're not a Michael J. Fox fan, cool. You'll like the cinematography. They've somehow managed to squeeze some really good cinematography into this documentary.
Like even if you just like film and editing, like this is something you should someone should watch, because they do a fantastic, editing is fantastic in this. I'm starting to see clips of that all over the internet now.
Oh, really?
Taking that and just posting it everywhere. So I'm hoping with that, it'll bring people to watch the documentary.
Yeah, I mentioned it when we recorded the Back to the Future episode. I think we just happen to, by luck, fall into the algorithm right now with that Back to the Future episode, because it's kind of everywhere. And it's probably because they've been talking up the release of this documentary for the last couple of months. And not realizing that, we just were like, oh, we should talk about Back to the Future this week, and we did that. And it's
this got kind of lucky. I guess got kind of happy.
And we're not sitting here with 1 million views or anything like that, but
we get excited for 50+ views. All right,
yeah, we get excited. I get excited for double-digit views, and anything. And we don't have a lot of people that are subscribed to the channel right now, which hopefully that will grow. But to have something like this, or the Jeff Anderson Now You Know episode, double in views how many people actually subscribe to the channel, that says something to me. And it may be the difference between 30 people who are subscribed to the channel and 60 people who watched the video. I know that's not a big deal, but it is to me, I always say, our tens and tens of people are really showing up, and I fucking appreciate it.
Yeah. I guess that kind of covers still. Go watch it.
Yeah.
It's on Apple TV Plus. If you have an Apple phone and you haven't used your free 6-month subscription to it, use it. Because if any new Apple device you buy, you get 6 months free.
Apparently with T-Mobile, I'm supposed to be able to get Apple TV Plus, but I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know. Fucking, I just watch it on F Movies. I don't give a shit. I don't want to give Apple any fucking subscribers. Fuck Apple.
Well, they got some good shit on there lately.
Yeah, I know. I hear you and everybody I know tells me I need to watch. Ted Lasso is right up my alley.
It's good. And it's also Bill Lawrence too, who we mentioned earlier. I'm a fan of Bill Lawrence. I met him and his wife.
Oh, that's cool.
Krista Miller, who played she was Drew Carey's girlfriend.
Yes.
If you remember Drew Carey. Okay.
Yeah.
And she was also in Scrubs too, obviously. But yeah, they're just awesome people altogether.
Very cool.
But I think that's gonna cover it for us this week.
Yeah.
This 2 weeks.
Yeah,
this fortnight.
This episode. And again, we're gonna air out of order, so to speak. Not the order. I mean, not out of order, because there's no order. But from the way we recorded them, yeah.
But thanks everyone for tuning in and watching this. Truly appreciate that. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit subscribe here or on Spotify or whatever platform you use to listen or watch podcasts. That's where we're at. And of course, thank you for the wonderful person who creates our music.
Yeah, Nigel Bravo, aka Stoat Krow Komedy, Crow with a K, Comedy with a K. Bandcamp. He streams on Twitch. You can find him anywhere as Stoat Krow Komedy.
You can find all the links down below along with our socials. And until next time, we will catch you later.